So let's go ahead and add in.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
What you're going to do is look for sync.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up. Do you want to allow contacts and favorites to sync? I'm going to say no.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Perfect. 911 Assist is available there as well. I recommend keeping that one turned on with a phone connected to your vehicle. And the reason why is because if you're ever in a serious accident, it's going to automatically dial 911 for you. And then do you want your contacts downloaded automatically, yay or nay? From there, you've got your contacts. You can change phones, do not disturb mode. You can also do a long press and hold on the steering wheel button in order to be able to activate your Siri Assistant as well. So short press brings up your Ford Assistant. A longer press and hold is going to activate Siri instead. So you can see there, Siri's popped up. So that's nice, you've got that flexibility. Now, if you go back home, the phone's connected, so you can see your basic information there. Now, one thing to note, as I mentioned, this thing does have support for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it's a wired connection. Now, one thing to note about the wired connection is you also want to make sure that your USB cable has the data transfer icon on it as well. Because sometimes when you're connecting, it's not going to connect properly, and that's because you're not using a data cable. So there's a difference between a data cable and just a regular charge cable. So if you're ever trying to connect and it won't, chances are it's your cable. But let's dive in. All you're going to do is plug yourself in the one side, opposite end, plugging yourself in there, and CarPlay. So let's continue. Agree. You have to hit OK and agree there in order for it to work. Do you want to allow CarPlay while your phone is locked? I'm going to say yes to that one. And seconds, you are fully connected, and it's beautiful, colorful, full screen. Love it. You've got your current time, what connection level you've got, map application that was last opened, audio application that was last opened, miscellaneous app, and then you can go to an icon view, back to home, or you can just swipe in order to get through this instead. You've got your map, so which was open last, basics or search, and then you've also got what's going on with audio on top of that. But there are so many different things that you can do inside of this thing. So you've got your maps, as I mentioned, and that's going to be, so Google Maps support with no pinch to zoom, but you could look at your search, previous destinations. You can go plus or minus this way as well. Change up your different views there. There we go. Circle back into yourself. Perfect. And then back home. Google Maps is going to be the same thing. So you pop on Google Maps there, and nice, but no pinch to zoom capabilities. To zoom in and out, you're going this way and zooming in and out that way instead. You can search for previous addresses, or you can press there to look at things like route options. So if you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, and ferries, you could do that. Change up your map colors. You want to show traffic. You want to adjust the volume, whatever the case may be. And then Waze is the same thing. So Waze, no pinch to zoom capabilities, but you've got a hot press to let people know about different hazards on the road. Back home. And then this thing supports all sorts of things for audio. So it's got Live One, which is a radio app. There's so many things. Zoom is available there if you wanted to. Podcasts are available, music, all that fun stuff. So there's a lot of options that are available through the screen there. So as you can see, I've got an upcoming notification there for my calendar. So I can click through, and at 4 o'clock, I've got a rock and or roll, and back home from there. Now, if you wanted to get back to the main sync home screen, you can push this button there to do it. If you wanted to hop back into CarPlay, you could push CarPlay, phone, or maps, and that hops you right back in to whatever option you've chosen there, or back to this little icon view instead. You can go CarPlay preferences to turn off CarPlay. So let's say if you wanted to charge up without using CarPlay, you can just toggle it off, and you're going to see there everything defaults back to the factory option instead. You can then remove your phone if you'd like to. Straightforward, and I'm connected back over Bluetooth. So one other thing to point out, I'm actually going to go back into settings. I want to turn CarPlay back on to show you one other thing, and that has to do with your settings. So you're going to go to General on your phone, CarPlay, you're going to find your vehicle. You can forget it, allow CarPlay while the phone is locked, or you can customize. So let's say if you're a fan of listening to your podcasts, you want audiobooks up there, and you're a big fan of using Waze, you can do a drag and drop to adjust it. You can also delete. Oh, that's new. Remove. Oh, It wants me to double click it. Remove. So you can remove everything from the screen there if you'd like to a degree, and it keeps it on the phone. So if you wanted to, you could then add these things back in. So it's added them back in. But if you have played around with this a little bit too much and you're not a fan of what you've done, there's a reset button. Push that, reset layout, and that just brings you back to the factory default screen there instead. So I know that's quite a little bit of info, but that's how you set up an iPhone and connect CarPlay inside of the Bronco Sport. Setting up an Android is the exact same process. So in order to do it, if you weren't on the full, phone screen, so technically I'm still connected to the iPhone, you could go change phone, or under settings, back into phone, view devices, and then you could look at the existing phone there to disconnect or remove it, or you can add in a device.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Okay, and then on your phone, you're just going to wait for Bronco Sport to show up.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
There we go. And then if you've got multiple phones connected, you can set this one as the favorite. So it's essentially who gets connection priority. Do you want to download your contacts, yay or nay? And then clicking on phone, I've now got the Galaxy connected. So it's the same thing. You go home, you've got the Galaxy connected there. You can click through your phone to look at some additional options on top of that. And then similar to the iPhone side of things, Android devices are a wired option in order to get Android Auto. And it's the same thing. You want to make sure that that USB cable has data support. And as long as it does, you're plugging yourself in. Opposite end of the cable, plugging yourself in there. And we're just going to hang off for a second. Continue. Next on your phone, and you've got to agree. And look at that. A few seconds in, and we are fully connected. So, as you can see there, fully connected. If you wanted to go full screen maps, you could push that if you'd like. Search for addresses, you can push there in order to see a ton of different options. So your route guidance options, avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, etc. One nice thing that I like about Android Auto is that it's pinch to zoom capabilities, super responsive with Google Maps. You can push this button to get back to your split screen, back to your icon view instead, back to this screen, or full screen maps if you'd like to. But moving back to the split screen, you've got a few other options. So Waze is another map application that's obviously available here. But if for whatever reason, let's say if Waze isn't showing up inside of your vehicle whatsoever, so what you actually have to do, or if you're getting weird messages, I've put together a little walkthrough video that explains how to connect Waze and set it up properly if it's not working. So if this is happening to you, or you don't see Waze on the screen whatsoever, check down in the description of the video for a walkthrough on how to use it. But you've got your Google Assistant there. You've also got your current date, time, all that fun stuff. Then if you wanted to get back to the Ford home screen, you could push the Ford button there in order to do it, or hop back into Android Auto if you want to go that route. Very similar to the iPhone side of things, you do have some flexibility with the Waze itself. So what we're going to do is click on Android Auto. So search for Android Auto on your Android device. You can look at previously connected cars. You can customize the launcher, Google dictation, and a few other things. But we're looking for the ability to customize the launcher, which you can do. So if you wanted to drag and drop some things around, you've got the flexibility to do it. You can also disable certain apps on top of that. But one thing about the Android side that's not the same on the Apple side is that this is not dynamic. So in order to be able to accept the changes, you essentially have to disconnect from Android Auto, relaunch for those changes to take into effect. So actually, let's just pull out, plug back in, and go back to the icon view there. And you can see the changes that we made are now showing up. So you have to literally disconnect in order to be able to use, or in order for the customization changes to take into effect. But it still is nice you've got that available as an option. Hopping back home, you've now got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. But if you wanted to disconnect Android Auto, same idea. You're just going to select that, and it defaults right back to the factory options there instead. If you were to go back into your phones now, view devices, you've got both phones. So if you wanted to, you could reconnect to the iPhone if you wanted to for phone and media, for media as well. So let's say if you wanted to have one phone connected for the actual phone itself and another one connected for media, you've got that flexibility. So you could do kind of a mix and match there. You can either be connected for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but you can kind of do a Frankenstein connection for these other options. Or you can remove it if you want to. And same idea, let's remove the iPhone, and there we go. So we've got the phones that are disconnected, and then Android Auto, Apple CarPlay are still there, so you can remove it from that, just to clean up the icon tray there as well. So as you can see, it's now deleted.